Fernando Mendoza, might not start Week 1 for the Raiders. But the bigger story is what could happen once he finally does take the field. Because according to multiple NFL analysts, the timing of his debut could place the rookie quarterback directly into one of the toughest stretches of defenses anywhere in the league. The headlines around Las Vegas have mostly focused on Kirk Cousins opening the season as the starter. That part is not especially surprising. Cousins was brought in to stabilize the offense, provide veteran leadership, and prevent the Raiders from rushing a young quarterback before he is fully prepared for NFL speed. But once the NFL schedule became official, analysts immediately started looking deeper into the timeline. And what they found created a very interesting conversation around Fernando Mendoza's rookie season. On ESPN's NFL Live, Tim Hasselbeck and Mina both discussed the possibility that Mendoza eventually replaces Cousins around the middle of the season. The concern was not simply whether the rookie would be ready. It was the schedule waiting for him if that change actually happens. Hasselbeck predicted Week 8 as the most realistic turning point. He explained that while sitting early could help Mendoza absorb the offense, quarterbacks ultimately improve by playing real games, not by standing on the sideline every Sunday. That point matters because modern rookie quarterbacks rarely develop in a perfect environment anymore. Teams want immediate answers. Fans want immediate excitement. And front offices often feel pressure to see whether a first-round quarterback can become the future as quickly as possible. Still, Hasselbeck also acknowledged the reality that comes after Week 8. The Raiders would immediately enter a brutal stretch filled with elite defensive units, playoff-level pass rushers, and difficult road environments. Mina agreed with the overall timeline, but she focused on something even more important. She pointed out that the softer part of the Raiders' schedule comes earlier in the season, while the more difficult defenses appear later. In other words, if Mendoza waits too long to debut, he may skip the easier transition period entirely. That is why this situation feels complicated. On paper, sitting behind Cousins makes sense. The veteran quarterback understands protections, pre-snap adjustments, and situational football at a very high level. For a young passer entering the league, there is real value in learning how a veteran prepares for NFL defenses during the week. At the same time, the longer the Raiders wait, the harder Mendoza's first NFL experience could become. The back half of Las Vegas' schedule is loaded with defensive talent. Week 9 sends the Raiders to San Francisco, where the 49ers remain one of the most physical and disciplined defenses in football. 1 week later, the Raiders host the reigning Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. Then comes a road trip to Denver against a Broncos defense that reportedly ranked first in PFSN's defense impact metric during the 2025 season. That alone would test almost any rookie quarterback. But the schedule continues. Week 12 brings a trip to Cleveland against a Browns defense led by Myles Garrett, one of the most disruptive pass rushers in the NFL. After the bye week, the Raiders return to face the Chargers before another matchup against Denver. That is the gauntlet analysts are talking about. And for Mendoza, the challenge will not simply be physical pressure. It will be mental pressure too. NFL defenses become far more complex once opponents gather film on a rookie quarterback. Defensive coordinators attack tendencies quickly. They disguise coverages. They force young quarterbacks to identify pressure before the snap and process information faster than ever before. That adjustment period can overwhelm talented players if the supporting structure is not strong enough. The encouraging part for the Raiders is that Mendoza will not enter a completely empty situation. Las Vegas has offensive pieces capable of helping a young quarterback settle into games. Brock Bowers gives the offense a reliable target over the middle of the field, while Ashton Jeanty can create balance if the running game becomes consistent. Those players matter because rookie quarterbacks often survive difficult stretches by leaning on quick throws, short completions, and manageable situations. Not every game needs to become a highlight reel performance immediately. In fact, the smartest approach for the Raiders may be lowering expectations early. If Mendoza eventually takes over in the middle of the season, the organization should focus less on wins and losses and more on development. Can he stay composed under pressure? Can he avoid turnovers against elite defenses? Can he continue improving week after week even when mistakes happen? Those are the questions that truly matter for a rookie quarterback. And honestly, there may be some benefit to facing difficult defenses early in his career. Young quarterbacks often learn more from adversity than comfort. Facing playoff-caliber defenses forces quicker growth. It teaches anticipation, patience, and pocket discipline. The challenge for coaches is making sure those difficult experiences build confidence instead of damaging it. That balance will define the Raiders' season. Because if Cousins plays well early, the pressure to start Mendoza immediately could disappear for a while. But if the offense struggles, fans will naturally begin asking for the rookie sooner rather than later, especially knowing he was drafted to become the future of the franchise. That creates another interesting dynamic. Kimes mentioned the possibility that Raiders fans could become impatient if Cousins keeps Mendoza on the bench too long. And historically, fan pressure always becomes louder once teams start losing games. The organization will need discipline to avoid making an emotional decision. Ultimately, this is not just about when Fernando Mendoza debuts. It is about how the Raiders build his long-term future. Throwing a rookie quarterback into a difficult stretch can accelerate development if the environment is stable. But it can also create unnecessary setbacks if expectations become unrealistic. The encouraging part is that the final stretch of the schedule softens slightly. Matchups against the Titans and Cardinals could provide Mendoza opportunities to finish the season with momentum if he handles the earlier challenges correctly. And that may be the real goal here. The Raiders do not necessarily need Mendoza to dominate immediately. They need him to grow steadily, handle adversity professionally, and enter 2027 looking like a quarterback capable of leading the franchise long-term. Right now, the debate is centered around timing, but by the end of the season, the far more important conversation may be whether Fernando Mendoza proved he can survive the NFL's toughest tests when the pressure finally arrived. Another factor that cannot be ignored is the division itself. Even outside the specific stretch analysts highlighted, the AFC West demands discipline from young quarterbacks every single week. Defensive coordinators in this division understand how to pressure inexperienced passers, and they rarely allow simple reads for 4 quarters. That means Mendoza's development may depend heavily on how quickly he learns to protect the football, while still remaining aggressive enough to challenge defenses downfield. There is also the possibility that sitting behind Cousins helps Mendoza emotionally as much as technically. Veteran quarterbacks understand how to recover after poor performances, difficult road losses, and intense media attention. Those lessons are rarely discussed publicly, but they become critical once a rookie faces real adversity for the first time. If Mendoza eventually enters the lineup with a stronger understanding of preparation, leadership, and weekly recovery, the difficult schedule may become more manageable than analysts currently expect. That is why patience, communication, and realistic expectations could ultimately determine whether this rookie season becomes frustrating or foundational for the Raiders moving forward. The talent is there. The real question is whether the Raiders can introduce Fernando Mendoza into the league at the right moment, with enough support to survive the learning curve comfortably.